while they are on break during the trial, there's a little important point to talk about. What's going on? Okay, I got one person watching, two people watching. Kind of clear this up a little bit. That's what happens when you go live. Got to go what you got, homie. Oh, that's much better. Wait for some more people to come on in. What's up? Hey, Christy, what's going on? I'm going to be talking and driving, but not looking and driving. Unless I'm at a spot where I can look. So I engage you all in the comments. Charles, what's going on? All right, so let's talk about it. The prosecution is on break right now. It's still the prosecution's case. Of course, we're talking about the people of the state of Minnesota versus Derek Chauvin, okay? Right now you have the medical doctor, and I'm trying to get his name. I don't know what to call him. Okay, Dr. Martin Tobin, a pulmonologist. Dr. Martin Tobin, a pulmonologist. He's on the stand. And I want you to take this into consideration. First of all, you should have an open mind. We in this country, if you're about justice and you understand both sides, if you will, that you may be of the opinion about what Derek or Officer Chauvin allegedly or actually did to George Floyd. And you may be of the opinion that George Floyd caused his own death. Regardless of your opinions, you don't know all the facts. If we knew all the facts, then we'd probably be in a better decision to be able to state certain things. And that is why we have trial. I'm going to go live later on today at 7:30 and talk about a few more things. But I just want to react to this medical doctor who's a pulmonologist, a physiologist, right? A person who understands the medicine of whether or not a person's lungs are in the position to contract or whether or not they're able to based upon the hand positions and things like that. I want you to understand Graham versus Connor. Graham versus Connor, which is a United States Supreme Court case that talks about the objective reasonableness of the force used based upon what the officer knew at the time that he engaged in the actions that he or she did. All of those charts are great. All of those graphics are great. But the reality is this. Did Officer Chauvin, did he know any of that information at the time of the arrest? And to that end, what you are seeing is the department is being put on trial, as they should. Eric Nelson, whether you agree or not, whether you like it or not, he's doing an excellent job, which is why I cannot wait to see him cross-examine the witness. And what I would do if I were a defense attorney in his position, I would subpoena the chief, the lieutenant who was the trainer, the lieutenant who was his supervisor, I think Derek Chauvin's supervisor, the Sergeant Stigger from Los Angeles. I would subpoena the officer who taught CPR. I would subpoena a lot of those folks. And I would ask them, given the knowledge that the doctor displayed so excellently, he's an expert in his field, and I'm sure that what he is saying is true, or at least I believe that what he is saying is true. Do you know this to be true, Chief? And how do you know this to be true? Do you know this to be true, Lieutenant? And how do you know this to be true? Where did you receive this information? Was there an examination that you took that showed that you knew exactly what the doctor was stating on the stand? And if you knew, did you create a curriculum to teach what you knew in reference to what this doctor testified to on the stand? And if you did create the curriculum, did you test the defendant based upon what you learned from what this doctor testified to on the stand? And what, if anything, did the defendant score to show that this was knowledge that he had at the time of this incident? And should this have been knowledge that he should have had to make this a part of his assessment as to whether or not he should use this kind of force? And I think that's one of the things that the jury may or may not get, is that there are certain levels of knowledge that a lay person officer, such as Officer Chauvin and any of the other officers, are expected to have. Just my opinion. What do I know? I'm a use of force trainer too, and been one for quite some time. I understand Graham versus Connor very well. Teach it all the time. Tennessee versus Gardner, understand it well. Teach it all the time. The one thing I can say is this: all of that science, the jury, they heard it, but did they understand it? You see what I'm saying? And so you're going to have to explain things in layman's terms to where they get it. And that's the one thing I can appreciate about Mr. Nelson, the defense counsel for the defendant, former officer Derek Chauvin, is that he knows the jury doesn't get it, and he's teaching them. So I'm interested to see what he's going to say on cross, what he's going to ask him on cross, because you do have to teach the jury because they don't know. All right? I'm going to get out of here. Just wanted to go live and say some things about that. What are your thoughts about this? What are your thoughts? If you start to get nasty behind your text and start calling me things like Uncle Tom, Coon, I'm just going to block you. I don't have time to engage. If you want the dialect and you want the conversation, I'm here. But the insults, I don't have time. Because on this channel, we teach. And you don't have to like what you learned. You don't have to unlike it or not like it, dislike it, whatever. You don't have to accept it. You don't have to reject it. You don't have to think it's fair, or you can think it's fair. You can think it's good. You can think it's bad. You can think it's ethical. You can think it's unethical. What you feel about it is up to you. What it is education. I asked my class this morning, and I'm getting ready to take them to the range right now. I asked my concealed carry class, how many of you all are upset about what happened to George Floyd? A percentage of them, in fact, a great percentage of them raised their hand. How many of you are watching the trial? Only one person